In the background, what you're seeing is 3 acres of land that I purchased here in the high mountain deserts of California, and here is my goal. I want to regreen this part of the desert. I want to bring lots of wildlife. I want to bring lots of wild plants, native plants to the area, and really just see this place thrive once again. I am back on the land after being MIA for months. And what happened was I had a baby and I have other businesses. And so I couldn't really find time, or I didn't make the time to invest it back into the land. So I'm excited to see what updates we have for you guys. I'm excited to see, just really scope out the land and show you guys what I'm looking at, where my mind is at, what I'm hoping to do with this visit and the next ones to come. Now, over the past couple of months, I have been studying. Just because I wasn't on the land doesn't mean I can't learn more about it, or how to take care of it, or how to go about my overall mission for this. Over the past couple of months, I've done a lot of reflecting on how I am going to transform these lands, in the way that I'm going to do it, a very holistic way, a way that is minimally destructive to the land, and any destruction that does come is for the land's benefits in the long run. So the way that I am doing it, I really don't want to affect the life here as much as it has already been affected. I don't want to bring non-native animals to quote unquote work these lands like a lot of other farmers or just stewards of the land do. And it's not something that I'm like frowning upon, or it's not something that I talk smack on or anything like that. But at the end of the day, I want the, not only just want, but I know that the native animals here know what to do with the land. And so I trust them to balance it out. They just need some help, they just need some tools. And so I spent the past couple of months reflecting on, okay, what tools do they need? What tools do I need in order to carry out the plans that I have? And my plans are to bring the life back. Well, what brings back life? I had to ask myself that. What brings life? What attracts life? And the answer always came back to water. Regardless, people can say trees, but trees need water. People can say other species, but those species need water. So water was that main focal point for me, became that main focal point for me. And now I'm seeing a path forward on how my vision is going to come to life. So over the past couple of months, I've done a lot of studying on the water in the area, how the water acts, where the water goes, how to harvest water, how to work with water, how to attract and keep water. And it has been quite the learning journey. I've come to realize that me being a water sign and being a Cancer sun, me also being, my ancestors being from the land or from the island of Puerto Rico, and me being so connected with water, um, I began to tap in with the kind of like inner water bearer within me, that I didn't know was in me, but my spirit craved. And so over these past couple of months, although I have not been on the land has still been transforming me and teaching me valuable lessons. Which leads me to my main focus here on the land today is one, scoping out the path of water. Because I learned that in these mountain ranges, we go through what's called a monsoon season, meaning there's just a crazy amount of water in a short amount of time. And, I want to learn how to harvest that water and allow that water to work for me and work really for the land over a period of time. You see a lot of people in these areas, or just in desert areas all around the world, water is a very limited resource. That's because a lot of the water is simply just running off of the land. A lot of the water isn't actually going into the land, it just evaporates into the air. It stays on the surface for way too long, and then it just evaporates. And so I've done this in my own home, where I have In my gardens, there are things called swales where they're pretty much like indentations in the ground that allow the water to flow in a certain way, to stagnate, to slow down, and allow it to penetrate the earth. Like I said, the biggest problems for people out here in the deserts is their water just stays on the surface and just keeps rolling and rolling and rolling until it stops and never actually pools up. It's just spread extremely thin, and then the harsh sun quickly just evaporates that up. And as I'm walking and talking, I am shown a reminder of how much life is actually on these lands. Here is a skin of a snake. That is really, really cool. And as I was scouting the land today, I want to show you guys a couple of hot spots to where I can build out a pond, a wildlife pond, and a couple of places where I could maybe deepen the river, or I could dam it up, and so I could create almost like obstacles or blockages, just like the beavers do, mimic the beavers that were probably once in this area many eons ago. Dam it up so that the water slows as it goes through it. Now, when I purchased this land, I actually got really lucky. I didn't know what I was buying. I was just so eager, and I didn't know if there was water, if there was access to water, if water ran through it. But when I came onto the property, it was very easy to spot this potential river. As you can see in this middle, as it winds, it is completely devoid of plant life, and it's filled with this little gravel. This is simply from the runoff, the flow on top of the soil, the flow on top of the earth. It creates this channel. Runoff is not really a good thing because it's erosion. So luckily for us, it created this channel where water easily is going to flow whenever heavy rains come in. You can even see kind of like the elevation right there. It's going to continue flowing and flowing and flowing, and it does so until you're out of property range over there. But if I work with this and I dam it up, put a bunch of rocks, maybe put some natural dams in it. Let me show you an example. That one over there. This right here. If I bring a bunch more debris, organic matter, sticks, branches, the like, this can stop the flow of water. Not entirely, but it slows it down so that it can become controlled. That means less erosion. You're not throwing dirt and sand everywhere. It's not getting washed off. And the water has a chance to penetrate this pretty hard rock. Getting to the end of the property line, I am going to make sure I give some space, but also build a water catchment, a pond, something to pool up this water. I don't want the water to just keep running off of my property and then the people next to me aren't doing anything to capture it and it just goes to waste. So I'm going to build some type of water catchment. It's going to help the water sink into the land, and I have found the path on where I'm going to do it. This is water catchment number 1. On to where the pond is going to be. I'm passing through what's going to be the village. This kind of circle, I don't know if you can see it. This circle is going to be where the quote unquote living quarters are, like the office, the center, something of that sort is going to be here. This is a little picnic area for right now. This is where pretty much the buildings are going to be when we do bring buildings in. This is going to be the workshop area, the compost area over there. I want to have some type of greenhouse. One greenhouse that I am particularly interested in, I saw on a creator's YouTube, where he actually dug into the ground about, I don't know, what was it, 8 feet, 10 feet, something crazy like that. He basically dug a rectangle out of the ground and went underground for his greenhouse. So I'm thinking about doing it somewhere around here. That's the compost right there. It can be close to the compost. Somewhere over here, this is the workshop area. We're gonna have a bunch of workshops, little campfire, burn things up. But yeah, I really want to do that greenhouse where you pretty much are taking it underground. The plants that were, and he's in a high mountain desert, so that's why I was so inspired, is he is already doing it in these types of conditions and he's thriving at it. So I am not going to create something new, I am going to mimic something that's already working. Over the course of the past couple of months, I have found so many amazing creators. I'll see if I can tag some of them in the description below. So many amazing creators that have been inspiring me on this journey of not necessarily living off grid, but working the land off grid. If you have any favorite off-grid farmers or agriculturists or anything like that that you follow on YouTube, go ahead and leave a comment down below. Tag them if you can. I would love to check them out as well. I'm always looking to learn new things and see other people's success stories and other people's experience. Now the next potential river is going to be next to the road I created. This is the parking lots. This is this cool windy road. But if you look off here to the left, I didn't catch it at first until I started walking today. But you can see it as clear as day on the camera. Now you can see this path of gravel, kind of wind over there, but you can see this path of gravel. And this is where that heavy, like topsoil erosion, this is where the heavy runoff is taking place, where the water is just flowing through and leaving this trail of rocks and sediment and things like that. Looks like there's a little bit of a dip here, so I like that a lot. This is probably going to be my catchment area right here because there already is a little bit of a dip. We are already downhill. The mountain is over there, so we're already downhill. We're just going to work with the force of gravity, not control too much, and then build our catchment here. So that when it does overflow, sure, it can go down that route, and we'll have to do something to protect the road and stuff, but we're going to potentially build it big enough to where it may not need it. And if the monsoons are that crazy, well, I welcome all the water that we can get. Okay, but this is going to be the catchment area right here. As you can see that little dip, you can kind of see the elevation change. And it's coming from this flow, this windy flow. Probably coming from that mountain over there or that mountain over there. Either or, we're going to work with gravity and we're going to make it our friend. So the main goal today was to scout those two areas where the main catchment and the pond is going to be. And now the rest of the time that I'm here, after writing in my journal, I am going to basically start carving this out so that it could be, it can be a little bit deeper. It'll allow for more water to be controlled and flowed because I leave it like this, there's going to be too much of a spread on the land. So if I don't know if it's concave, I think that's the word, concave, convex. I get them confused, but I think concave. If I concave it a little bit more, then it allows the water to kind of go into the stream, the steady stream into that catchment area. Then what I'm going to do is plot on, it's probably going to be the next time I'm here, but plot on what trees, what plants do I want to start catching or to start holding these riverbanks steady, start holding these little concaves that I'm making. How can I hold it more steady? Meaning, how can I get a plant whose roots are going to stabilize that riverbank or that catchment or that pond? That is how nature works together. The trees and the plants, they get their roots and they start locking up the soil in place so it's not easily kicked around and destroyed. It's able to hold form. Something really cool that I've been able to find is rocks on that mountain over there. And what I'm going to be using those rocks for are for those check dams, which are, again, to slow the flow of water. Now, initially, when I learned about check dams, it was a little intimidating because I realized I'm going to need a lot of rocks and I don't want to buy and transport. When I first started learning about dams, the most popular way to make a dam or a check dam is to use a layer of rocks on the ground. And at first it was a little intimidating because I was like, wait, where the hell am I going to get all these rocks from? And how am I going to transport them here? And so when I got onto the land, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna find rocks on the land. Even if it might take me a little bit, I know that it's gonna be worth it. And it didn't take much looking to find this beautiful mountain that I'm on right now. This peak that is loaded with rocks that aren't on the line of water where that flow is going. And so I'm going to utilize the rocks in a way that it's benefiting everybody. Now all I have to do is transport all of these rocks down to that car all the way over there, because that is where the land is. So wish me luck. Might take me quite a bit of time and numerous trips, either to the hilltop or back to the land, because I'm not going to do it all in one day, but it will get done, and eventually I will have volunteers help me out, friends and family help me out. But for now, I'm going to get started. I was lucky enough to find a trail that somebody already carved for me. It looks like somebody has been here a good while ago, because there is vegetation on the tracks. However, there is a track leading from the top of that hill through a part of my land, and so I'm just going to use that, take the wheelbarrow and follow this track. I don't know if you can see it. Follow that track up to the mountain with the wheelbarrow, and it'll make things so much easier. This is it for me. No more. Yeah, I reached my limit. Woo-wee. Hey, I did my thing though. 2 hours of work. It's about 3 feet deep. This alone can hold hundreds, if not thousands, of gallons of water. Water that would have just flowed on the top of this and just kept going. This can now penetrate that water, or the water can now penetrate the soil. The water can now hold here. Animals will be able to drink for longer periods of time. Eventually the water will go away, but that's because we need to recharge the capacity, recharge the holding tank of Mother Nature, and that is called the aquifer, so, or the water bank. Okay, so we deposit water into that bank, and we will receive our returns eventually. Eventually, the water won't go away. Eventually, it will just be a pond, and the plants and the animals will take care of it, and nature will continue to replenish it, and all the work that I put in will take care for it'll be taking care of itself. I don't have to keep putting in the work. You know, and that's the beauty of this. When you work with nature, I'm working with gravity to catch the downflow of the water. I'm working with basic principles where if you dig it, it'll hold. And with this basic understanding and working with nature, all of us are able to benefit. Shit, these blisters are getting to me, boy. I got one on each thumb. Y'all don't want these problems. Wear gloves next time, kids. Just a quick update on the plants. They have all died. Almost every single one of them. All but one. And that is okay.
Most people would be angry, most people would be upset. Some people would probably, hey, say I told you so. But we can't learn if we don't make these mistakes. And so what this mistake taught me is that I need to be harvesting water. Before I can worry about harvesting the plants, I have to focus on harvesting water, bringing the water back, because the water is here somewhere. This is why these types of plants are green in the middle of the summer, even though everything else is burnt up. This has lots of life on it. So there is water, okay? There is water here somewhere. And there's not enough of it for everybody else to thrive. Nor are there trees, this is the important thing about trees, nor are there trees anywhere, quite literally nowhere. The trees are not bringing up the water so that everybody else can flourish, which trees naturally do. These guys right here take all the water for themselves. The trees tap so deep into that water bank that they allow water to come up, and for these more shallow roots and less aggressive plants than those, they're able to thrive as well. Okay, but because there are no trees, we destroyed all the trees, we want to deforest everything, this is the byproduct. So none of my trees lived, only one of them did. Well, these aren't trees, they're shrubs, there's cactus, and this guy right here is the only one that's lived. And yeah, he is a little burnt, but he's alive. How? I have no idea. And that is it for me here on the land today. I have put in hours of work. I have blisters. I have plenty of sweat. I ran out of water. And that is my cue to get up on out of here before I suffer from dehydration. But if you enjoy this type of content and want to keep seeing how this progresses, then go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and that helps way more than you know.